Good day to you. My name is Teacher Arvin, and I am very excited to bring you today's lesson. So set your mind, ready your heart, and brace yourselves, for we will take the journey to discover the week 3 of 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world. Most essential learning competency in focus. Compare and contrast the various 21st century literary genres and the ones from the earlier genres, periods, citing their elements, structures, and traditions. For today's lesson, we will compare and contrast the various 21st century literary genres and the ones from the earlier genres and periods. You studied the geographical, linguistic, and ethnic components of Philippine literary history from pre-colonial to the modern in the preceding handout. Additionally, you experience the contribution of regional writers and a variety of literary styles. Let's proceed to defining what is meant by a literary genre. Now, a literary genre is a category of literary composition. Genres may be determined by literary techniques, tone, content, or even, as in the case of fiction, length. The distinction between the genres and categories are flexible and loosely defined, often with subgroups. The most general genres in literature are epic, tragedy, comedy, and creative nonfiction. They call all be in a form of prose or poetry. Additionally, a genre such as satire, allegory, or pastoral might appear in any of the above, not only as a subgenre, but as a mixture of genres. Finally, they are defined by the general cultural movement of the historical period in which they were composed. Genre should not be confused with age categories, by which literature may be classified as either adult, young adult, or children. They also must not be confused with format such as graphic, novel, or picture book. Literary genres in the Philippines. The diversity of Philippine literature evolved in lockstep with the country's illustrious past. Its topics are founded in the pre-colonial cultural traditions of the Philippines and the socio-political histories of its colonial and modern ways. However, numerous Filipinos are inexperienced with historical literature, owing to what we have been taught that our country was found, and so Philippine history began in March 1521. We now have a better understanding of our pre-colonial period because to the exhaustive work of archaeologists, anthropologists, and ethnologists, it is established again a wealth of material pertaining to early Filipinos as chronicled by historical chronicles. Pre-colonial Filipinos verbally express a wealth of lived experiences through folk speeches, songs, narratives, indigenous rituals, and mimetic dances. These are transmitted through generations. Among the prevalent are riddles, proverbs, songs, chants or belong, epics, myths, legends, fables, and folktales. The first literary piece under pre-colonial literature is bugtong or riddle. Now, bugtong or riddle is made up of one or more measured lines with rhymes and may consist of 4 to 12 syllables. Now, it showcases the Filipino wit, literary talent, and keen observation of the surroundings. It also involves reference to one or two images that symbolize the characteristics of an unknown object that is to be guessed. Now, riddle or bugtong, these are also mystifying statements or questions that are phrased and rhymed in such a way that their resolution requires ingenuity. Okay, these are presented as games and were considered forms of entertainment by bygones era. Okay, and like for example, the Tanaga or metaphor is prevalent in riddles because it reveals subtle comparisons between the similar objects. Thus, wit and observation are required for this mental exercise. These are referred to as tigmo by Visayans and bugtong by Tagalogs. Now, another term for Ilonggos is paktakun and atututdon for the Vicolanos, and there are other some names of riddles or bugtong in different regions. Now let's proceed to the purpose of bugtong. Now, number one, we have to entertain. Second is to educate. Third is to titillate. Fourth is to curse without expressing cursing. And last one is to preserve the culture. Alright, so let's take this as an example. Number one, baboy sa lasang, ang tunok puro lansang. So the answer is nangka or jackfruit. In English, a wild pig in the forest is covered with spikes. So let's have another example. Ano ang tuburan masulog sa tag-init? Ginabubsan kung tag-ulan. The answer is balhas or sweat. Now, the English translation of it is what spring flow in summer and run dry on rainy days. Alright, so now is your time to give us an example of riddle or bugtong. Alright, so let's proceed to the next type of literary piece during the pre-colonial period. The second is the salawikain and sawikain, epigrams, maxims, and proverbs. Now, these are short poems that have been customarily been used and served as laws and rules on good behavior by our ancestors. Now, allegories or parables that impart lessons for the young. Also, these often express a single idea that is usually satirical and had a witty ending. And maxims also consist of rhyming couplets like 5, 6, or 8 couplets, or syllables. Now, proverbs and saying in Tagalog, these are referred to as salawikain, while in Ilocano, they are referred to as sarsarita. Now, Philippine proverbs are wise sayings that describe or prescribe behavior codes, reflect societal norms, traditions, and even belief systems. Also, this impart lesson in brief, rhyming verse. Alright, so let's proceed to the examples. So, for salawikain, we have here, ang matapat na kaibigan, tunay na maaasahan. You will know a true friend in time of need. Example of sawikain. Kumukulo ang dugo. Blood is boiling, which means is very angry. Isulat sa tubig, write on water, which means forget about it. Example of maxims. Pag hindi ukol, hindi bubukol, which means what is not intended for one will not bear fruit. Alright, so this time, it's your time to shine and to give us an example of sawikain, salawikain, proverbs, and maxims. Another type of literary piece during the pre-colonial period is the bulong or chants. Now, bulong used in witchcraft or enchantments. Sa hinaba-haba ng prosesyon, sa simbahan din pala ang tuloy. Hele-hele, bago kieme. Now, bulong, these are used to express gratitude, excuse, or apology to unseen or other elemental spirits our forefathers believed in, and in order to protect them from harm or danger. Additionally, they are used in enchantments and even witchcraft. Here are some examples of bulong or chant. Tabi-tabi po, ingkong, makikiraan po lamang. Bari-bari po, apo, o mismo lating tao. Ikaw ang nagnakaw ng bigas ko, lumuwas sana ang mata mo. Mamagas sana ang katawan mo, patayin ka ng anito. Alright, now it's your time to give us an example of bulong or chant. Let's proceed to the next literary piece under pre-colonial period. Now, folk songs. A form of folk lyric which expresses the people's hopes, aspirations, and lifestyles. Repetitive and sonorous, didactic and naive. Traditional songs and melodies, inspired by the reaction of the people to their environment. Now, these are folk lyric forms that speak volumes about typical rural life and reflect people's aspirations and way of life. Here are some of the forefathers' song categories. So we have folk songs, lullaby, and serenade. Folk song, awit ng bayan. These are songs with lines often described as repetitive, didactic, and sonorous. The following are examples of famous Filipino folk songs. Examples are Magtanim ay di biro, Tagalog folk song. Another is Dandansoy, a Visayan folk song. Alright, so now it's your time to sing as an example of a folk song. Another folk song is a lullaby or uyay. These are soothing songs often sung to put babies to sleep. The following is an Ilocano lullaby with its English translation. Now here is an example of a lullaby. Alright, so who's willing to sing a lullaby for us? Serenade or harana. These are courtship songs used by young men to capture the heart of girl they love. Now, who's willing to serenade us? Another literary piece during the pre-colonial is the folktales. Now, folktales or kwentong bayan, they are stories about the personification of nature, their devotion to a deity or bathala, and how the deity is accountable for blessings and curses in the shape of natural disasters. Now, these are frequently passed down orally from generation to generation. Folktales includes epics, myths, legends, and fables. Epics. These are lengthy narratives recounting noble deeds. Darangin in Maranao, Aliguyon in Hudhod, Ifugao, and Ibalon in Bicol are examples of epics. Features of folk epics. The first one is the narratives of sustained lengths. Second, based on oral tradition. Third, revolving around supernatural events or heroic deeds. And fifth, in the form of verse. Another is either chanted or sung. And lastly, with a certain seriousness of purpose, embodying or validating the beliefs, customs, ideals, and or life values of the people. Will you give us an example of epics and its summary? Let's proceed to the next literary piece on the pre-colonial period. Myth. Myth is derived from Philippine folk literature, which is the traditional oral literature of the Filipino people. Now, this refers to a wide range of material due to the ethnic mix of the Philippines. There are many different creation myths in the Philippines, or in the Philippine mythology, originating from various ethnic groups. So we have story of Bathala, Visayan version, the legend of Maria Makiling. Now, myths, these are symbolic narratives, typically of unknown origin. It means that we don't know what the origin or where it is originated. Now, and at least somewhat conventional in nature, that purports to recount true occurrences that are particularly related with religious beliefs. Now, we have example which is the story of Bathala, ang pag-aaway ng dagat at langit are two ancient Filipino myths. On the pre-colonial period, now people do believe on mythical creatures like aswang, dila, diwata, duwende, tikbalang, mangkukulam, and even they believed on the different gods and goddesses. Alright, so here are examples of ancient mythical tales. Now, can you give us an example of myth and its summary? Another literary piece under pre-colonial period is the legends. Now, legends are a form of prose, the common theme of which is about the origin of a thing, a place, location, or name. The events are imaginary, devoid of truth, and unbelievable. Now, its aim is to entertain. Example of this is the legend of Tagalogs. Now, legends, these are narratives that explains the origin of or the origins of objects and occurrences found in the natural world. The legend of Maria Makiling, the legend of Mayon, and the legend of Sampaguita are just a few of the most well-known legends. Now, can you give us an example of legend and its summary? Let's proceed to the next literary piece under pre-colonial period. We have Fables. Now, fables, these are short stories written for indigenous Filipino children. These are mostly about superhuman or remarkable persons and take a type of narration demonstrating a helpful truth. Now, animals are used as characters in these stories to represent a certain feature or characteristic. Ang Conejo at ang Pagong is one of the most often orally related Filipino stories. Can you give us a summary of a fable that you've read? Another literary piece under pre-colonial period is the Tanaga. Tanaga, a quatrain with 7 syllables, each with the same rhyme at the end of the line. It has no title, 7777, and AABB. Tahak ng tingin, tulak, ng sulyap, yakap, lapat, ng titig sa balikat, hatak pa, kindat, hakat. Now, it has 4 lines, it has 7 syllables in each line, and it is rhyming. The first line is has the same rhyme with the second line, and the third line has the same rhyme with the fourth line. Can you give us an example of Tanaga? Alright, so let's proceed to the last literary piece that we have under the pre-colonial period. Now we have here Ambahan. Ambahan is the traditional poetry of Analulumangyans of Oriental Mindoro, which is normally inscribed on bamboo using a pre-colonial syllabic writing system called the Surat Mangyan. It has 7 metric lines or 7-syllable metric lines, can be composed of more than 4 lines, usually chanted, teaches lessons about life, recited by parents to educate their children, by the youth to express their love, by the old to impact experiences, or to impart experiences, or by the community in tribal ceremonies. Here is an example of Ambahan. Here is an example of Ambahan. Can you share your Ambahan to the class?